Alright guys, today we are making a rotoscope project. So we're going to open a new image here. I've downloaded a picture of The Rock. He's going to be my cartoon character. So we're using the traditional animation technique of using a photo as reference to then create a more realistic looking animation. So I have The Rock here. I often start by making a duplicate copy of this layer, click the snowman menu, and the double square thing for duplicate. It's sometimes helpful later. Then we're also going to need two main layers. New layer, and we'll do one more, new layer. So over here, layer 4, I'm going to rename this as my outline. And over here, I'm going to rename layer 3 as my colors. All right, so while I'm on outline layer, I'm going to get my paintbrush. I'm going to grab a black paint brush. I want a pretty small brush, and I also want a hard brush. So I'm going to make this a 3, I believe. So with my brush, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start outlining The Rock, picking out all the core details. Now this is a cartoon, so I could caricature him a little bit. I could change things about him. I could exaggerate features. I could change his outfit, right? We can do whatever we want. This is a cartoon, and the photo is just for reference. You can go as realistic as you'd like, or as different as you like. Now, some things aren't perfect. I don't like the way that cleaned up there. Maybe I'll zoom in. Grab the eraser tool. I'm just going to erase the top of his head, and I'll come back in here. Now, the smaller I make this brush, the cleaner my outline is going to be. I just want to see what the number 5 brush looks like here. I'm getting very pixelated lines, which I don't really like out of that smaller brush. You'll have to play around with it and see which one you like. Maybe I do want a fuzzy edge. I thought the fuzzy edge was going to make it harder to color in, but if the brush is very tiny but fuzzy, that might do okay. So I'm just sort of trying some things out here to see what I like. It's definitely less pixelated, which I kind of like. So I have my 3 layers or 2 layers I'm working on over here. I'm actually going to add a third. I just thought about this. Sometimes I like to have a background layer going on. Background. Because sometimes having a plain background is going to make it easier for me to see. So my background layer here, I'm going to grab a color. Okay, I'm going to flood fill the background. And I'm going to switch the order of these layers. I'm going to bring it below the outline. Now I can see the outline really well. I could bring it below the colors if I wanted to. But basically, I'm just going to turn this off. I just want to turn it on once in a while to check my art. For instance there, his eye, I think would look better if I finished this one off to look, oh, edit undo. I need to be on my outline layer and with the paintbrush. I feel like this eye, even though it kind of matched the drawing or the photo reference, it just doesn't look that great. So I'm trying to clean that up. Like I said, I may go back and clean up outlines. There's like a divot in his head right there, which I don't really like. but I am going quick here for the sake of the demo. So all right, let's get this shirt put in here. Big old biceps. Might put some of the wrinkles from the shirt in, some of those details. May help make this look really nice. Now I would need to go through and do his hands and everything else. If I really want this to be perfect. Any core details I'm missing? I'm missing the bottom of his chin. That's a kind of a core detail that should be defined. All right, so I really hate the way I'm doing this outline on top of his head now because it's really sloppy, but I could go in and clean that up if I wanted to. I am trying to do this rather quickly, so I'm going to move my background layer below my color layer here because I want to start coloring things in. There are a couple options. If your outline turned out really well, you have no gaps in it, you may be able to use the wand tool on the outline layer and select a big area. Now I'm going to switch over to my color layer, and on the color layer, I'm going to fill in that dotted selection area. Oh, I didn't get the right color there. All right, now select, deselect. It's not too bad. You can see there are some slight artifacting going on, or little voids, the way the lasso is selected around my black lines. The other option is, and maybe it's the cleaner option, is to just use the paintbrush on that color layer. Now that I'm done my outlines, I can make this brush bigger. And you can see how, because the outline's floating above on a separate layer, I can just color this in. Now, the fuzzy edge is going to be an issue. Oops, edit, undo. Gotta get back to that color layer. All right, so I've got his shirt colored in. Now I need a skin tone, and I can go to my reference picture if I would like to grab a skin tone. Get the dropper tool, or I can just pick one out of the many options I have. But I'm going to go back to the paintbrush, make sure I'm still on the color layer. I'm going to come in here and color in his skin. I got to be careful where they meet. But the fact that the outline is on its own layer lets me kind of paint right up to the line, and I don't have to be perfect about it. Now, if you get all this done and you really want to try to up your game a little bit more, you could always add some highlights to it. I like to do that on its own layer. Layer, new layer. I'm going to rename this one Highlights. I like to do it on its own just because if I mess it up, I can just turn it off or delete it later, right? So I'm on my highlights layer. I'm going to turn off color. I'm going to turn off background. I'm going to get a slightly lighter skin tone here. I could do shadows instead and go with the lighter areas. All right, so I want to make sure I'm still on my highlight layer, which I am. And I could come in here I'm just going to kind of paint in some of these areas where the light is kind of hitting him. I may need a smaller brush for part of this. It's up to you. Depends on how realistic you're trying to go with your cartoon. All right, I'm going to look at his shirt real quick. I was using this blue, so let's grab a highlight of that. And again, I'm just going to kind of come in here and pick up some of these areas where I can see a little light bouncing off of the rock here. And then let's turn on our background layer. Let's turn on our color layer. Let's zoom out. All right, so I'm going to take this copy of my background. I'm going to put it on the top just so I can flash it on and off a few times. This kind of sometimes helps you notice details that maybe are missing, right? Maybe I want to show his lip, his lower lip a little bit. That's not very well defined. Maybe I want to show that wrinkle between his eyebrows. Obviously, you know, there's some outline work that needs to be done there. And I didn't do his arms or anything like that, but you can simplify your world. You don't have to do every little detail. This was pretty quick because the rock doesn't have hair. There's other details, you know, that can become a defining feature for people. I have also done some other ones. If I go back out, you'll see this one I did based off of Paul Rudd. And I have some semi-complex ones here I've done of George Lucas. And I changed his shirt. All right. I hope that helps you out.